Welcome to the show, everyone. It is, 6:16 in the morning, and I've got Brad joining us as a guest, and he is a beekeeper, right? Is that the name?
Right. That's right.
That's your title. And bees are an incredibly important insect, and for many, many reasons. And they are being decimated, and as I was telling you earlier, because of EMF. I don't know if you knew that was the reason or not. The cell towers and what have you. They're losing their way home, so they're not getting back to their hives.
Exactly.
So and then they're going to die.
Right.
So how long have you been into bees?
Probably around 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And you have your own hives?
I have my own hive.
How many hives do you have?
It fluctuates from year to year, but right now I have 2.
And where? Oh, what city are they in?
I'm in Springfield, Missouri.
Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah.
Now, this is for your own personal use,
Yeah,
or?
it's just a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people make a living out of it.
Yeah. For me, it's one of those things where I've got a little bit of land, and I'm thinking, maybe someday I'll add more. But right now, especially as busy as I am with my own company, I just kind of just play around with them. They fascinate me, and they have for years. And got into it with another gentleman years ago who also kept bees and brought me in and taught me everything he knew. And at one point in time, we were running 15 hives. So it was a lot of fun. It was a great way to spend a Friday afternoon going out to his land and kind of just watching them and fascinating by their movement and checking on them, seeing how they're growing, adding new supers for the possibility of harvesting honey at the end of the season. And so it was a pretty exciting time, and that's carried over till today. And now I do it on my own.
How many seasons are there per year in honey making?
I think it varies probably from geographic location and how you want to take care of your bees. But normally what we do is just harvest honey at the end of the year. Actually, it being October is probably the time where we check on the state of the hive. Let's see, winterize the hive. In Missouri, of course, it does get cold, freezing weather. We get snow and ice, and so we definitely want to leave enough honey for them to winter on. It's going to be their food throughout the cold months. But if there's surplus, it's at that time where we'll go ahead and pull off the extra and spin it out in a centrifuge and bottle it up. And since it's a hobby, just kind of give it away to family and friends.
I hope to get a bottle from you.
There you go.
Oh, how long does a bee live?
A bee lives only for a matter of days. The average drone, I believe, is maybe 90 days. So the queen, of course, she lives a lot longer. She can live for years. And of course, her main job is brood, laying eggs. And so there's constantly new generations of bees during a single year that are being hatched and started to.
What size is a baby bee?
What's that again?
What size is a baby bee?
What size?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Like a BB?
Yeah, they start out, of course, as just little pupa, and then they mature into very small bees. They hang around the front of the hive for the first few weeks of their lives, just kind of getting used to things. They have hive duties, and then eventually they fly out and begin foraging, like with the rest of the older drones. So they kind of have phases in their life and things that they do through their lives.
So is a bee eating the pollen as a supplement? That's their diet,
Yeah,
and then
nutrition.
their excrement is the honey. Correct or no?
It's not excrement as much as it's something that they spit out. So it's you're right. It's definitely something that's a byproduct. But it's also the honey is something that they also use as food, but they store it.
That's what I was asking. Do they eat the honey?
Yeah,
They actually eat the honey.
They do eat the honey.
They make the honey and eat the honey.
They do. Yeah.
So when you take out the honey, you don't take it all out because they
yeah.
would be taking their food source out.
Exactly. So as a hive gets busy throughout the warmer parts of the year, their population will grow, and they will they will fill out the frames in the hive with new honey, new comb. And we have to constantly check that. So, periodically, maybe once every, 2 or 3 weeks, you go to the hive, you check the very top box. They're called supers. And if they've drawn out comb on all of the supers and are starting to fill it, it's at that time where we add another empty box to the top. If you don't, then there's a threat of them swarming. They get overcrowded, and they always have to have a constant place to add new honey, new comb.
So a box is called a bee box, I guess?
There's different sizes. You have a deep, which is the very bottom. Sometimes you put 2 on. That's where the colony lives for the most part. That's where the queen does her work and lays her eggs. That's also a place where they can store honey. You usually put some kind of a queen excluder above those boxes, so that anything above those boxes that we would add, the queen can't get into to lay her eggs. She doesn't need to, and those are the boxes that we call supers. And at that point in time, we begin hoping that we can just continue to add supers throughout the warm months, and those are what we take off at the end of the year for harvest.
And there's companies that sell these boxes, or you make them yourself?
Yeah. There's definitely bee supply companies. We have some stores near locally, or you can go online and buy all the bee supplies you need, including your hive boxes and tools and anything else you need.
And where do you get you to start? Let's say you buy do you have to buy some bees?
Yeah.
You gotta buy some bees, okay.
Yeah, and there's suppliers of bees. You can just buy them.
And there's champion bees, and there's subpar bees, and there's average bees, or what?
Well, there's there's different breeds of bees. So
different breeds.
You
Okay.
have, and usually it's, I don't know why it's this way, but it's normally a nationality. For instance, in our area, popular bees would be referred to as Italians, which I assume they originally came from Italy.
Okay.
There's a newer breed that I hadn't heard of before. It probably has been around as long as the Italian bees, and they're Russians, and they seem to be a little bit more adaptive to harsh environments. And I've lost bees throughout the winter before, where they just didn't make it through the cold months. And so I'm interested in my next hive that I build would be Russians, and I'm going to be curious to see.
And what's a bee cost?
A hive, if you buy a hive, you can buy it in a couple of different ways. You can buy a colony in a box. Basically, it's literally a box of bees with a queen in the middle in a cage, and with food. That's just simply called a bee package. That's for those folks that already have all the other supplies, their hives, things, and they transfer those bees into an empty hive. You can also buy something called a nuke, short for nucleus. It's a hive in a box. It's a small box with 5 frames with fully drawn out honey and brood with bees already packed inside of it. You just transfer that to an empty hive box, and you're ready to go.
Oh, relax, guy. See, here's what drives me crazy. He's in a hurry to get to that truck that's 50 yards in front of me, right?
Exactly.
What is that? See, that just drives me nuts.
Where is he going to go?
Where is he going to go? He's honking his horn. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on a freeway right now that's moving at about 5 miles an hour, maybe 10, let's see, 10 miles an hour, and there's 50 feet in front of me, and this guy in a truck needs to be in front of me 50 feet.
And it's a school bus.
Oh, and it's a school bus? Is that right? Oh, my gosh. What a moron. At any rate, and that's one of my things is that people rush to red lights.
Yeah.
And it's a metaphor of life. They're rushing through life. This guy needs to be 50 feet in front right now.
Right.
And he went on his horn to get there.
That's so funny.
I can tell you stories. But bees are fascinating. People love bees. I mean, so what does a hive cost?
So if I were to just simply buy either way, the range, whether or not you just get a bee package or a nuke, anywhere between say $160 to $300.
Okay.
And that'll get you started.
So now let's say you want to do that as a living. What would that produce as far as a gallon? Or what is a gallon worth?
Oh man,
a quart.
Yeah, since I just do it for a hobby, and not every year I'm successful at harvesting. If I have a full super, that's going to be several pounds of honey, maybe 20 pounds of honey.
Okay.
And I have a centrifuge, so that's how I extract the honey off of the frames.
Right.
And it doesn't damage all of the honeycomb to a degree where I can replace those frames, put them back into service, and the bees will work off of those empty frames with the comb already still on them. So I can spin out, on a good year with a couple of hives, anywhere between, again, it depends on how good the year was, how well things flowered, things of that nature, but anywhere from 20 to 100 pounds of honey.
Wow.
And yeah, it's always
Because
fun
it's got to sell
bottle it
for
up.
$5 a pound or more, right? Or what does it sell for?
Yeah, I don't know if they sell by the pound.
Oh, look, he's happy now.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, isn't he happy? So the big bus passed me, and now he gets to go at 10 miles an hour behind the bigger truck.
Yeah.
He's happy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy he's happy. I'll tell you a story. The same thing happened to me, and we were going a lot slower than this. It was really stop traffic. And I was on a 405 again, and I was on a hill and with a stick shift, and I had a DirecTV company, and my name and phone number was on the side of my van, and because I wanted this much space right here, like 30 feet, because I needed to because it's a hill and it's a stick shift, I don't want to burn my clutch up, right? So I gave myself some space, and literally this is moving. We weren't even moving. And the lady behind me calls me up. She goes, "Sir, there's 10 feet in front of you. Would you mind pulling up?" Are you kidding me? What are these people thinking? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so this guy's very happy. He's in front of me because he closed that gap.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so happy. I'm so happy for him.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm happy he's happy. Jesus. I tell you, life is a pretty funny thing. Anyway, people rushing through life. This is exact example of people. He didn't get anything, but he's in front of me now. That's it. Anyway, getting back to bees. So now, what do you do for a living?
I'm a consultant, technology consultant. Do several different things, but for the most part, I'm in the medical education industry.
Oh.
I work for a company that is an accreditor of medical education. All doctors need to stay up on the latest stuff, right?
Sure.
And they have to they have to collect a certain number of CME, continuing medical education credits, to stay licensed. And so our company is one of many that produces education in a live venue or online. For instance, I'm flying home from Long Beach today for being part of a production crew that was implementing a 2-day medical conference here in Long Beach.
Oh, you taped it?
It was actually live.
Oh, okay.
And we streamed it live.
Oh, very nice.
So we had an audience of perhaps 200, 250, and then at least another 100 that tuned in throughout the 2-day event.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you want to give a shout out to your company?
Primary Care Network, Springfield, Missouri. We've been in business since 1997, and I work for them. I work for myself mainly, but PCN, Primary Care Network, is one of my premier clients.
Okay. Because my podcast is all about improving the mind, the body, and the planet.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad to have you as a guest, talking about bees, but we always talk about making the mind and the body better, It's always an improvement. I mean, it's amazing the technology, what's happening with the advancement. You need to listen, and people listening right now, go back to some of my old podcasts and watch. And last week we interviewed Augie Nost, who knows of 2 Nobel Prize winners that have discovered the secret to aging. And you don't need to age, and you can live to be hundreds of years old if you want. It's partially a mind control, and it's partially knowing how the genetic chromosomes, I forget the name of it, I'm going to have to study this up, unravel as we get older. And you can keep them from unraveling, which would mean you're not going to age. So it's a fascinating interview. And then tomorrow, of course, we're going to have at 2 p.m. Pacific, the Michael Horn, publicist for Billy Meyer, and my co-host of Thunder. It's called the Dr. Fantastic and Thunder Show, and he's been studying Billy Meyer for 20 years. And the guy's about in his 70s. He lives in Switzerland, and he's been abducted a few times. Recently, he went for 5 minutes or 15 minutes and was gone in his life for 3 weeks. But in reality, here with his friends in the house, he was only gone for 15 minutes. And he came out one door and went in the other. People were freaking out. But so it's going to be a fascinating interview tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. But this is always fascinating because you've got something to offer the world. A little information about bees, but more information about educating the doctors. They're all in practice, and they're all making mistakes because we're learning all the time. It took 30 years for the government to mandate doctors to sterilize their equipment and wash their hands. They had to mandate it. It wasn't something like the doctors say, well, I want to do this just because it's good practice. They had to mandate it in law, and because a lot of babies were dying. They called it early death syndrome or something like that. All these babies were dying all the time after being born. And they didn't know why. It was because they were using the same instruments for each operation. Like the C-sections and what have you. And so we're just learning. We learned, a couple decades ago that smoking's bad for your health. We're learning supposedly that EMF is bad. I know that radiation from microwaves is bad. I don't use a microwave oven. I use it as a bread holder now. I've seen documentation on when you heat water through microwave, it takes out all the nutrients. And I've seen them use this microwave water and regular water in 2 plants, and the plant watered with the microwave water died within a week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So not only does it take out any nutrients, it actually puts in bad shit because it's microwaving. You're microwaving your food.
Nice.
And so people, I don't think they're ever going to come out with the truth about that because everyone has a microwave.
Exactly.
That would decimate industries. It's all about money. See, it's all about money. And I like to say we're a greedy, litigious, selfish society. No one's going to let anyone in traffic. A lady who said, I was told when I come to LA never to use my turn signals because if I use them, they're not going to let me in. And she's so right. There's no one that will deny that, right? It's ridiculous. It's off the charts. People are they're in their own little bubbles, and that's why being fantastic is so important because it opens up engagement. People are going to want to know more about you when you tell them that you're fantastic, but you're making them feel good, which is called karma, which means paying it forward. It's if you can just think about helping other people, and the world's going to be a better place. Life is short. I try to encourage people to start living it early, not wait till you retire to start living. People they don't understand how important every day is. So important. So, do we close the door on bees? What's the next step with bees?
Like I say,
It's a great hobby, huh?
Yeah, it's just a hobby.
And you have to wear a mask all the time, or you don't have to wear that mask?
I'm one of the lucky ones. So it seems like I can work around bees without them really getting too upset at me. I mean, if I open up a hive and kind of rattle things around, I'll wear a bee suit.
Okay.
But if I just want to pop open the hive just to check to see how they're doing from a top view, or just standing in front of the hive and they're just buzzing around me, they don't bother you.
Is it true that they die when they sting you?
That is true. Yeah.
So they don't want to die.
No, absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
And
Yeah, it's a good
how many varieties are there of bees?
A lot, more than I know. I only mentioned it 2 a while ago, but
There's got to be probably thousands, right?
There may be, yeah. There may be at least dozens, if not hundreds, of different, types.
Okay, here's what I like to do. I did it on an earlier podcast. The girl has that Yum company. Yum, what I said it was called? YumClub.net. And I said she's catering to the private school. So I said, how many private schools are there? She goes, I don't know. I said, there's got to be 3,500.
Yeah.
Right? She Googled it. There's 3,900. So I want you to get your phone out right now and ask Google how many varieties of bees there are.
Let's do it.
Let's do it live here while we're talking bees. I'm going to guess there's 1,500. Audience, guess. By the way, this is live. If someone was to call 714-316-9829, they could ask questions to Brad and his bee world.
Let's see. There we go.
You do it?
Oh, now, how many did you say?
I said 1,500.
All right. Now, this is species.
Species, yeah.
All right. So it says here that there are about 20,000 different species of bees in the world.
20,000.
Yeah.
I was way off on that one.
Yeah. So yeah, me too.
20,000 different types of bees.
And I can't even fathom what that even means.
Well, that means every country's got a couple hundred.
Well, I guess if you classify bees in different,
there's the yellow jacket. There's
they're
bumblebee.
a honeybee is going to be different than a killer bee, right?
Right.
So there's that. So
Yeah.
if you consider just the honeybees, I wouldn't think there'd be thousands.
Okay, so let's classify it down. How many different species of honeybees are there?
Let's see what happens.
I'm going to say 5,000.
Talks about Italians, different types of honeybees. Slow connection.
Drum roll, please. How many different species of honeybees are there?
Well, still not finding
You don't do the verbal okay Google?
I could.
Yeah, just say
Well-
okay Google. How many different species of honeybees are there?
Not accidentally. How many species of honeybees?
Here's a summary of largely bee keepers. There are almost 20,000 species of bees. Occasionally, I found this.
It's the same thing I had before. I say. What it does, it just gives me a list of a few dozen. There's got to be a number.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at phones.
I can't put it on. Apologize for the listening audience while we're doing a Google search, but there is no pause button when you're doing live broadcasts. So we're just being live.
Yeah, time to fill the dead air with something else.
Well, again, I'm going to remind everyone listening to be fantastic. Be fantastic. Pollinate positivity. You're going to live a lot longer. You're going to make the world a better place. 2 smiles at a time. You can't beat being fantastic. And you can't beat bees. It's funny how many people like bees. And how many people are afraid of bees. They do sting. I can't believe they only last 90 days. That's they get pretty busy in 90 days, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They definitely
It must
have
take
a short-
it must take a day for them to mature. Oh, how long does it take from birth to maturity? That must be just a couple days.
I want to say it's more like a week or two.
Well, that's 2 weeks into 90 days.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it can't be 2 weeks. Okay, here's another question. Ask Google how long. What's the good question is how long does it take a bee to mature to producing honey? I guess that would be maturity, right? Producing honey.
How long does it take for a bee to mature?
We're learning all kind of stuff with
Okay,
bees today.
I found this on the web for how long does it take for a bee to mature.
Okay, what did she say?
Alright. Takes me to a website page.
What's the website?
Alright. An average beehive may contain 60,000 bees. Just a few.
That's a lot.
The average lifetime of a bee is actually only around 60 days to a month.
60 days now. Boy, you give them credit.
Stages of a bee life cycle. The egg, the larva, the pupa, and the adult.
It's got to be a week because in 60 days that's only
Yeah, I'd say you're right.
6 weeks. So you got to mature and have some productivity there. Doesn't say. Well, anyone listening, if you have the answer, call 714-316-9829. It's also a number you can call tomorrow during our webcast on UFOs, ufology, with Michael Horn, publicist of Billy Myers. Well, Brad, what do we got behind door number 2?
They just talk about adult bees, but I know that once a bee is hatched, it doesn't immediately go out and start foraging, right? So
Yeah, because you're seeing it. I mean,
yeah. So they kind of hang out around the hive for a few days before they get their wings, so to speak,
Right.
to go out on their own. But I can't find that specific information.
well, we didn't learn that in this episode, but I want to thank everyone for listening. Hope you learned a little bit about bees. And what was the name of your company again?
My company is called Hedrick Interactive.
And you have a website, phone number you want to give them? Someone wants to hire you?
HedrickInteractive.com.
There you go.
Works.
And that's all about making the doctors a little bit better. You need 3 opinions, by the way, people, before you decide which route to go, because they're not always right. Doctors are not always right. They're studying their whole lives, trying to improve. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching, and be fantastic. Watch our Instagram. Great motivational sayings on it. Go to Uplifting Interviews with Total Strangers to see over 500 interviews with total strangers, from scientists to rappers to murderers to singers. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening.